When I'm sitting in my office at night at 10 o'clock working with two different AI engines, I do not feel alone. First of all, the passive income myth,
Yeah.
that's partly what this software solves. Because a lot of people
Okay.
that get into it think it is passive income. They go, oh, I can invest in
Educate me. Yeah.
So that's why we did it, my wife and I. So we're like, well, we'll get some laundries, we'll have a tax write-off. Well, passive income never happens because
Okay.
laundries, mine were brand new equipment, new facilities. Within months, you're repairing machines, you're hiring staff, there's turnover, you have customers breaking machines because they're putting too much soap in there, which does break machines. The idea that I could just sit back with my wife and go to Monaco, it's not realistic to us to connect systems. When you can see a lot as a human and then you get the power of something like AI that has 1,000 eyeballs at once, it makes you feel completely unstoppable. On a level, in your product, you look at it and say, okay, did I really just do that?
Well, I figured since we're shooting the shit, and you're like, man, from my videos to now.
I told Pear, I said, I am so deep into AI that when I think about the questions you asked me, you asked it related to beauty. The stuff I was saying is just so, you can tell I don't know AI. I didn't watch it again because I don't want to embarrass myself. I look over my shoulder, like nobody's behind me. I'm like, oh my God.
This is a great way to intro this.
Yeah.
This is a great, we're starting. They're just going to start with that. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That would grab me as a viewer.
I didn't know.
Because how long ago was that?
2 years.
Yeah.
2 years, 2 weeks.
So what have you learned since it? What's changed so much since then? 2 years.
Well, I think one of the biggest things was the application. I was a business owner running a cosmetics company. I didn't know the application of AI. So I would say, well, I can see that some of the high level stuff, generative AI made sense when you say, I'm going to create a script for one of our demo videos, or I'm going to create posts on Instagram or Facebook. That made sense because
Yeah.
I was, it was a tool that my people use, but I couldn't imagine replacing someone with it, only when it came to some of the menial tasks. So that's, I think my answer was, I said, oh, with AI, maybe we could get into some more, we could be more efficient with marketing. We could come up with marketing materials faster, brand books, brand guidelines. We could get into some better materials when it comes to distilling down really complicated ingredient books. The ingredients we use in our skincare is really, it's science heavy stuff. Maybe LLMs can help with, kind of creating something a little more palatable. That's it. But I wouldn't say you could replace someone. Maybe you could probably hire a few fewer people when it came to things like an entire team of people creating ads, because you could be efficient if you had to create Facebook ads every single day. One person can handle that with AI. They can do a lot of things, but that was 2 years ago. So
what's different?
Well, I mean, one of the biggest ones for I think in the AI world is having vector databases and RAG systems like these augmented.
Say what RAG is, just in case somebody didn't know.
Retrieval augmented generation.
Okay.
So retrieval, the whole idea with AI being built, I think most people know the AI systems like Anthropic and GPT and
You mean
Gemini.
OpenAI?
Yeah, but the actual engines, like Anthropic is Claude. You have your consumer facing. So those engines are obviously trained and built on LLMs. You have
large language models.
Yeah, large language models. So you have petabytes worth of data, but a lot of that data is distilled down, and the whole reason you can build on it is you have all this knowledge. It's kind of like on tap, right? But up until the last couple of years, and I don't know when it is. I know that AI came out around the end of 2022. I do know some of the milestones,
or at least more public-facing versions, right? Because didn't OpenAI start their nonprofit, quote unquote, back in 2017?
Yeah, I guess. I just know that the commercially available was like November 22 or something like this. Quote me?
We can fact check this.
Yeah, it has to do with because I remember thinking like my brother never saw it.
Okay.
So it was 22.
And your brother had passed when?
September of 22.
Okay.
So with a lot of that early AI, people would show me like, hey, look what I can do. And they'd make like knock jokes. And I'm like, great. It's an LLM. That's awesome. It's a lot of information. I get the utility to some degree, but then you start introducing these engines that are doing things like, I mean, fine tuning is something that you can do with an engine to really kind of dial in how the answer comes back, because it's all predictive language, right? It's all just predictive. That's the whole way that this works. Is AI engines are really trying to predict the next word that comes, so that you can eventually get enough language to be able to put together a string of words for conversation, right? It's predictive language.
You're making me think about, when you're typing in Gmail and it's always giving you your first.
Kind of like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
And with you have your context window where you can put in your prompt. And if anybody's used AI for any stretch of time for something other than making like bathroom jokes or the random picture on a picture generator, they know that there's a thing called hallucination,
Oh,
drift.
I love catching in hallucinations. It's so funny.
Well, and they can get stuck in loops. So like 2 years ago, right around the time we had that interview, I was using AI for things like posts.
Okay.
But when it comes to things like creating something that's more detailed, this generative AI requires human input. Humans are still creating. They're just using AI to kind of to do it faster, more efficiently, with more information than they would have readily available, all this stuff. But you still need a human to do it. If an AI engine is sitting there and it's not being prompted by a human, it's not doing anything. That's the generative part. It just sits there. So then you start getting some emerging technologies with things like a larger context window, meaning you can start talking to AI and it starts to have a memory, because now you can put in a certain amount of data so that there's recall, so that you can have a historical, all this, right?
I do, but we're talking about this, so people who may or may not know.
Oh, yeah.
There might be people who be like, he's full of shit, or there's other people
Well,
like,
some of
I didn't
this-
even know.
Yeah, and some of this, that's the thing, is like
We can't assume anybody knows anything,
nobody knows
including
shit.
ourselves.
Nobody knows shit. And my stuff is, to be fair with my understanding of AI, I only started diving into it in like June, July of last year. So
Okay.
all the advances that happened, I was using AI
And it's the end of March 2026, so gives kind of that.
almost
Yeah.
a year.
Okay.
But up until that point, I was very familiar. When it came out, I did utilize some of the very high level functions. I didn't know why on ChatGPT, if you can choose fast or slow or thinking. I didn't know what that was doing. I just was like, I wanted to think, but I didn't know that I was actually initiating a different kind of a prompt. But up until maybe about a year ago, just over a year ago, I didn't really look at it for anything other than a party trick in my world.
Okay.
Because I would just say, yeah, it can help me with answering customer service emails. I think I said that. I think I said,
Possibly.
yeah. So, we use a lot of the common software for that. You have your Zendesk for tickets. You have, you can wire up HubSpot and these things so that you can have, actually, I don't think HubSpot's really CRM, but Zendesk is a pretty common one. Gorgeous is another one. There's all great softwares, but in my industry, if you don't answer a customer within a day or so, you don't seem like you're really there. You're not alive.
We used to do lead gen for lawyers. You had to capture them in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
That was a dead lead.
Someone told me a long time ago, and maybe it was on a bathroom wall on the I-80 in Iowa, but someone told me a long time ago that like 25% of your customers will turn away. Like they come in with a question. So 25% of your web traffic will just disappear if you don't answer them, something like that.
That seems valid.
Yeah. So, I would start to build these little use cases and say, well, why don't we use AI
Well, let me ask you, from that interview that you did, what made you say, you know what, I'm going to actually look into this more? Like, what was that moment that made you kind of go, I want to check it out a little bit more?
How much time do you have? So I was...
Well, we got a lot. I mean, we got terabytes on these things.
So I was sitting... I had just gotten out of the laundry business, sold off my laundromats,
Okay.
and got out of the laundromat business. And I was writing the kids' book, so I was writing a lot. And I was starting to use Claude, because Claude has a very large context window. And this is before Anthropic started doing this really crazy stuff, this new emerging, like turning everything up on its ear, right? But anyway, it had a really large context window, and you could work with Claude for a very long time before you started getting drift. You could drop in 200 pages of manuscript and have it start to look for things like character arcs, and it would stay with you pretty good without drifting.
So that's what made you start really kind of going down the
No,
hole?
that's when I started seeing that there was a utility that could like a real world case where instead of hiring the $8,000 editor to help me with some line editing, I could actually start using Anthropic to really start doing some pretty serious fundamental foundational work on my memoir.
Okay.
And so I started taking it a little more seriously. Now
Okay.
it's not writing knock knock jokes for me. It's not writing songs, stuff that people do with ChatGPT or did. Very light level consumers. What my father uses it for is if he has to wire up something for his computer, he'll just say, "How do I wire this thing up?" And he'll walk him through step by step.
Yeah.
Just general use. So I started seeing some pretty serious utility, and because I had already hired uh, editor to go in and do a line edit on my memoir, I already had an example of what professionals do. Started using Anthropic and Claude, and I was like, this this is pretty pretty serious work. Showed my wife, and that was around the last summer. And I had just gotten out of the laundry business, and I had this way that I ran my laundries that made it the largest in LA. I had
Okay.
the most successful, largest big laundries. I don't want to do this because everybody will know who this is.
I mean, laundromats in LA, there's a lot of Korean culture. I mean,
Oh yeah, for
because I've had
secondaries,
friends who've tried buying them and they're like, they would much rather sell to within the culture.
secondary. I
Yeah.
built them
Oh, you built
and
them.
then I sell them.
Okay.
So you typically do sell it to Korean family.
Okay.
They come in, they run it.
Okay.
They live in it basically. So
Okay.
they aren't hiring people to run it. It's a family thing.
Okay.
It's real big. It is really big. I think there's a movie about it. All the
Laundromats?
there's
I know
a
there's the Donut King, and that talks about a different type of culture. But
there's a movie that all the everything at once, all the everything at,
everywhere, everything, all at
isn't
once.
she in a laundromat?
Yeah, she is in a laundromat.
Yeah.
Oh, but the way you made it, I was for some reason I'm
Well,
thinking
there was
of
a
the
movie called The
business.
Laundromat.
Then there's that too.
Which is great because everybody's like, your wife's Russian, you have a laundromat. Nice. Oh, and you drive a G-Wagon? Okay. I see where you're going with this. Um,
Did you put that in the laundromats when you were working?
I didn't drive a
Like the,
G-Wagon.
the the side? No, I'm talking about the side ancillary ways to make money.
Next? No, 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 no. Uh, so, it was around the time I started realizing that AI was starting to become. I mean, that was an eye opener. Seeing how a tool like Anthropic, I call it Anthropic. I know everybody calls it Claude, but I think it's one
Well,
of
you
the
have a
great.
different relationship with it, clearly.
It's one of the greatest. It's one of the greatest companies, and I know they're one of the biggest. I think what they're doing is just tremendous. So Ola comes to me, my wife comes to me, and we're talking about this article she read in Forbes, or yeah, I think it was in Forbes, and it was about a company in Europe that helps you code with AI. And I was like, well, I don't understand that. I understand that
Okay.
AI can be used for text, images, and whatever, but I never realized AI is actually built for coding, and that's where its strength is. So the more I thought about it, I earlier last year I had hired a company in Ireland to help me build my the way I ran my business into an ERP. So I had
The
already,
laundromat business.
yeah, yeah,
So an ERP for laundromat
right.
specifically. Okay.
So I was building an ERP because I had a tech company in 2011 up in San Jose, and I wanted to take everything I learned over that 7 years and make an ERP for how I grew my laundries to be so big. So I had the team in Ireland, and we were working, bumbling our way through this ERP and the database setup, and it was all the stuff I did 10 years earlier. So in the summer, 4 months after dumping a bunch of money into this, when my wife shows me the article and I read it, I'm thinking, how the hell does AI code? And then I realized the power of that.
Yeah.
And we started, and this isn't like, what do they call it? Vibe coding.
Yeah.
This is not that. I realized very quickly that the power of using AI, not just to like put together code, but to also troubleshoot, error, and debug, it's like having 1,000 programmers look for the same problem simultaneously, all communicating together. We used to have meetings on Thursdays to do our debugging because you'd have guys in different parts of the software. They're all working on different things. And we'd spend days trying to figure out how bugs were cascading through the system. AI can figure it out in seconds.
Oh, I remember. Yeah, I've been through the war of version control, and we'd be sandboxing things, pushing it. Yeah, yeah. I've definitely have some PTSD from
Yeah,
working in that
that's a good way to
environment.
put it. I remember, and you're sitting there as the owner and you're watching 6 or 7 highly paid programmers fight over where the problem is.
Oh, it's funny when they would fight on Jira when
Oh yeah,
it
Jira.
would crack me up.
We were using we were using Trello when it first came out, and then we started using it Asana.
Okay, I remember
I mean,
Sana.
but that was back in, yeah, 2012,
Yeah, yeah.
you know.
But anyways,
But yeah,
so
so I got into it. I started utilizing some of the tools to help the guys, and then I quickly realized, wait a minute, we're dealing with a totally different
so it
beast.
was your curiosity more than anything that kind of got you into it.
Well, and because of the way because of the way these engines can not just utilize, vast amounts of information on existing code and code that works, but also how it can use its language model to walk you through it. That's kind of the vibe coding thing, but we're doing it on a level where we were programmers. So as a programmer, you're saying that you want to set up your SQL or your SQL, and you want to do it in a way with edge functions and RPCs, and you know exactly how you want the framework to be, and it's being done in seconds in front of your eyes. And then you go into the database, like Supabase or whoever you're using, you go into the repository and you look, and it's like, that was 5 seconds, and this would take a guy an entire day.
The part that really got me was when you started using APIs and integrating with other systems.
Oh yeah.
And I was just like, wait, what? I remember how much time it took a lot of times when we would start bringing in APIs into our software while we were trying to just, build certain things out. And yeah, yeah,
Well, it's amazing. And
it
you
really
have,
is.
our system now, we've been building it for 6 months and it's fully scaled. We have beta stores here in LA using it.
You got paying customers in?
Yeah.
Look at you.
Yeah, and I've got a sales team.
That seems like such an old school thing. You got to monetize the product.
Yeah, and what's great about it is the way that we built the system, when I say we, it's like I do have a head engineer. I have a guy that is definitely,
I think you would still say we, even if you were solo.
do you know why?
I have my opinion. I'm curious to hear what your opinion is.
When I'm sitting in my office at night at 10 o'clock working with 2 different AI engines, I do not feel alone.
Nope.
It is very
Agreed.
real. It's like the movie Her, but you don't want to tell anybody. Joaquin
Wait,
Phoenix.
no, I know. So I'm thinking about this for a second. So
A
are
name?
you having an affair with one of them? Does
I do get a little
does
bit.
the missus, like, does she approve of this?
She thinks it's funny when I have my main engines that are doing the programming, and then I have two that I use to help when one gets stuck in a loop. Usually the programming one gets stuck in a loop, and I use the other ones to kind of talk, and they know they're talking to each other. Put this prompt in that
Have
AI
you named
engine.
them?
I named a long time ago. I named the one I used at my hair care company, but I used to call it Little Sport.
Oh, sport.
But I stopped doing it because I realized, like, with the hallucinate, it makes it obvious when it's hallucinating, because it was it would forget, even if you put that information in the knowledge and it was supposed to review the knowledge, sometimes it would forget that it was its name. So it made me more aware that it didn't have a long context box. So I
Yeah.
stopped doing it. It just knows. Some of the ones I use now are just, they use rag and rack. So they use the augmented generation and the augmented correction. So a lot of the stuff I'm doing, there are months worth of interactions. There's month worth of migration plans that we've had, and I can say, go back, 2 or 3 months and find all the migrations by timestamp, and let's see what we did on the RPCs, so that we can isolate this issue, because we're breaking. It's too fragile, it's too brittle. And the way it talks to me, it doesn't say my name. I didn't give it my name, but it has it's so refined in the way that the vectors are being used to, like, recall the way we work, that it feels like it's a human. I think Chat GPT 3 years ago didn't feel, it felt like AI. It didn't feel like Kit and Knight
Well, I guess
Rider.
it depends on how you use it, right? Like anything else. Because there were people that were having more intimate conversations with it.
Well,
And so
until
it
it
would give you,
hallucinated, and then
yeah,
you're like, what?
well, because a lot of it too was, it felt like it was almost human in a way, in the sense that it just would tell you the things it thought you wanted to hear. You know what I mean?
Oh, and then that gets you into some problems
Oh yeah.
because then you could see, didn't Google have an issue with that where it came out and it
I
was
feel
like
like each
whitewashing?
one of them have had it. Yeah, there's been
I don't think
plenty of instances.
Claude doesn't get called out for that too much. I think
I've
that's what
called out Claude a
Claude,
couple times.
it doesn't
Yeah.
like the cut of your jib.
Oh my god. No, it responds to certain thoughts that I'll be having, and it seems like it's just
Telling you you're wrong.
no, I like if it would say you're wrong and here's why,
uh,
but you have to ask it. You have to have it challenge you. But do you have, out of curiosity, have you started using OpenClaw at all?
no.
Okay, we can table that. That's a whole nother conversation.
Yeah, well, what I'm what I'm very involved with now is because of the way that we've built this ERP and in the framework of it, it is like a traditional ERP. So it's a full enterprise system for laundry owners, but it's AI first. I'm just trying to think like what would be interesting on the tech side of it. It's hosted on Vercel. It's just a regular. Actually, you know what you compare it to
Hmm.
is Xero. I built it to be like Xero,
Okay,
the
the
accounting
accounting
software.
software, yeah.
Yeah, because laundry owners are all over the map when it comes to their. They're all over the map when it comes to their level of like how detailed they want to be. You would never shove Sage Peachtree onto every laundry owner because some laundry owners don't annotate on that detail. QuickBooks is appropriate for some. You can't really shoehorn a laundry into that because it's cash business. It's very hard to do both.
Okay.
And then, so Xero was kind of like a nice way to say, okay, this is it's a web-based accounting system. It's not like where QuickBooks was desktop first and then they made the online version.
Hmm.
So I didn't build ours into any kind of, it's not a client. It's not anything you put on your computer. It's all web-based. It's built with, the way that it's built is to be, it's a multi-tenant platform that's very much built like a cloud-based system that can go anywhere. So you can use your phone, you can use your desktop. You don't
So
have
it's like a progressive web app in that way.
Yeah, and it's very much in line with where most of your big ERPs went over the last 10 years switching to cloud.
Okay.
Because when we were first building our tech company in 2010 or 11, 2012, we were looking at servers, we were looking at hosting, we were doing all that. But that's when AWS came out. And we were like, okay, well now you have AWS and that can handle obvious like
Oh
load.
yeah, they love handling it. They like charging you on the up and the down. Son
Yeah,
of bitches.
so that's how we built it. But with the AI, we're doing AI first. So because everybody's seen it where it's like powered by AI, and then you use it, it's like this isn't really AI. It's like a chat engine on top of a software. If I don't do anything, it doesn't do anything for me. So ours is AI first, meaning it's agentic AI. It's not,
Okay.
it's not generative. So there is a component of a chat bot if you have to ask it a question.
Explain what the difference is.
Oh, agentic can do things, and a lot of it requires, for most part, it requires an initial prompt. Like if you say, let's run a collection. This is what laundry owners do multiple times a week.
Okay.
And with a generative AI, you would get some kind of an answer like it would tell you what a collection is or whatever, and that would kind of be the end of it, right? With agentic, there's other functions it can pull from. It can do things. So
Okay.
it can use tools and automations. It can perform tasks. It can with ours, it pulls from a series of vector databases to really fine tune by we call them tenants by the different laundry owners. So
Okay.
each tenant.
Wait, is it a franchise? No. I mean that because it's software, but you call them tenants.
Yeah,
Interesting.
because our software is for any laundry owner, so
Yeah.
everybody has their own partition of the database. So
Interesting.
yeah, so we just call them
I love the
tenants.
nomenclature of any business.
Yeah,
Because
so
there is its own vernacular a lot of times.
yeah, we call it a multi-tenant framework.
Okay.
So then you obviously have security. You have to make sure that you're not having cross-tenant bleed or anything like that. But every tenant's profile or they're basically it's like their portion of the software.
Hmm.
AI can see data specific to them. These are all vector embeds. Like this is data that AI will go in, whether it's a cron job, meaning it's done, at a certain time, or it's something that's triggered by an event. Someone enters a utility bill, so it triggers the system to basically take that data and stick it into a vector database. Whatever it is, the tenants have their own curated vector database. And if you know anything about vector databases, I mean, it's fascinating stuff.
What is the value proposition to the people who are actually operating the laundromat?
Well, so the software alone, take out AI, the software alone that was built with AI, that's kind of why it's an interesting story. It was built with a lot of AI, but it
Okay.
also is AI. So it's like that one of those stories of what can you do with AI? Well, you can build an ERP and you can get paying customers, right? There's a lot of case studies where people are building things with AI and they're getting it, but this is like a full scale ERP.
So because they're utilizing the software you had built that obviously costs some form of money because you still have to pay to have that done from the machines, what is one of your tenants? They're paying a monthly fee plus if they use it more. Do they have to
Oh
buy
no.
tokens?
No, the way that we've structured at least the early access pricing,
Uh-huh.
it's like it's like any new software. Um, the early price, the monthly price, it's tiered. You have your essentials, which is your basic to run your laundry, and then you have a pro tier, which gets you a lot more functionality, um, tools that you would implement in like time tracking, like time clock for your employees, or asset tracking for your machines, like all those things that a pro level would offer. um, we've kind of built into the price that the strain, or the basically the AI tax is what we would call it, like the
Okay.
tokens, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the tax to run something, and for us, a RAG system, a RAG pipeline to run, um, to have our AI agent is called Symon with a
Okay.
Y. So to run Symon, we save a lot of money when it comes to recalling those vector data points to fine tune the prompts by having that data. It's kind of like it's amortized right from the beginning. So when we upload global data, like global information for efficient laundromat running,
Mm-hmm.
you pay that up front for that to be done through an embed engine to put into the vector database. So that's just amortized. So it's nominal fees, but if you have a heavy user, you're still only talking. I mean, to run 1,000 tokens is a fraction of a penny. You're talking very,
Have
very
you
small.
not seen any surge or both in both ways
We don't have enough
ever?
users
You
yet.
don't have enough users. Okay.
No, I'm the power user because I go into everybody's software and I look at so what I'm still building, because it's still very much in development.
Yeah.
We just got through closed beta. Now we're in early access because obviously we don't use the word beta on financial software. But what I'm building now is, because of the way that our AI agent, or Symon, has been built, is it's always learning. So it's the RAC, the augmented correction is always training internally. So the more users we get, the more information we get in our little ecosystem, the more fine tuned the agent gets globally and by tenant. So if you get a user that's using it all the time, which they should be, their AI Simon can be very dialed in to where when it comes to agentic, you can
Why
say,
Simon with a Y?
because Simon with an I is hard to trademark.
Oh, okay.
That's really it.
Fair enough. Why Simon in first place?
Uh, I don't know. I was sitting there one night and I was like, Simon, and my rabbit is named Simon. That's a good name.
All right.
Simon is just a smart name. I always think of a guy wasn't one of the chipmunks Simon with
Yeah.
yeah, there you
Alvin,
go.
Simon, and
Simon was the
Theodore.
egghead.
Yeah.
Our AI agent,
Egghead. Well, I don't know why I thought of Adam Sandler when you said Egghead.
egghead.
Yeah. I always think of Theodore because, he's kind of portly like myself.
I was Elvin. I had the big A on my shirt and the hat.
You were that guy, huh? Extrovert, full of ego.
Yeah. Oh God, is that what that is?
Alvin was definitely alpha male.
Oh, yeah. My brother was Simon. So we talk like chipmunks. That's why my kids' book is about chipmunks, because we had big teeth. Maybe we still
Oh,
do.
you grew into them because they don't look that big.
My ears were big and my teeth were big. But yeah, so the Simon is constantly learning. It's being refined, but it's using this this RAG pipeline and this augmented correction to really kind of fine tune it. But your question was about what was the value proposition.
Mhm.
One of the biggest ones is anomaly detection.
Okay.
That's one of the biggest. Laundries are very heavy cash, and if you have anybody working with you, it's very easy to lose money.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I would
anomaly
figure that'd
detection.
be almost like a tax, like an overhead tax. Like, X amount's going to be gone.
We ran into that often.
Yeah.
You know, it's pretty easy to hide a chunk of 20s.
That's what bars do. They go, okay, we figure this much is going to get pocketed. So,
Yeah, anomaly detection. Another big one for us is laundries are they're very heavy with utilities. So water and electric and gas. And one of the ways that you can always tell the performance of your laundry is by your utility bills. It's actually how you verify your revenue too. So we have a lot of our RAG. I don't want to use our RAG pipeline. A lot of our vector database is pulling information like that, bringing it embedding it into the data.
so it would be able to be like, hey, you're using this much in utilities. This was the take, but it's not showing up.
That's a very high level use.
Damn.
Another
All right.
one is it does a lot of forecasting. So one of the reasons we were able to operate one of the most successful, the largest in LA was I come from finance, so I come from spreadsheets. I'm that guy. I pour over the numbers. So I would I would get into forecasting, which I don't know if laundry owners do, but I did. So
Yeah, I was
I
going to
knew
ask you.
holidays were coming up, and you know what you can do when you have a historical data, things that humans typically can't pick up, the AI can see clear as day. It can help you with forecasting. You can react faster. And if you don't react fast in laundry business, you can lose thousands of dollars in a day.
Educate me. I only have a cursory knowledge of anything laundromat. I mean, I definitely was always interested in investing them because it just always attracted me. Like, you never see the owner there because they're just coin operated. I'm like, that seems pretty cool, kind of like storage units. But so, what would forecasting be able to do? I mean, because it's not like you're going to put in more machines.
Well, you can. So
Like, okay,
that can actually be one of the uses. So first of all, the passive income myth,
yeah, yeah,
that's partly what this software solves because a lot of people
okay.
that get into it think it is passive income. They go, "Oh, I can invest in
Educate me. Yeah, yeah.
So that's why we did it, my wife and I. So we're like, well, we'll get some laundries, we'll have a tax write-off. Well, passive income never happens because
Okay.
laundries, even brand new. Mine were brand new with new equipment, new facilities. Within months, you're repairing machines, you're hiring staff, there's turnover, you have customers breaking machines because they're putting too much soap in there, which does break machines and
Yeah,
valves and all
no,
that.
no, I could understand that.
You have issues with break-ins, especially in LA. We used to get a break-in every quarter. You'd have issues with the dryer vents. So like it's never really passive. So and another big thing is because these are cash-heavy businesses like a food truck or like a dry cleaner or car wash, coin car wash, um, you have to be in the books to some degree. You have to collect the money. Someone has to go in and take the cash out of the wall. Someone has to pay the bills. Someone has to gather everything by the end of the month if you run a P&L or profit and loss statement to know if you're profitable. And at the end of the day, you really do want to pull money out of your bank account because that's why you have a laundromat.
People can't pay with Venmo or Zelle.
At a laundry?
Yeah,
Oh yeah, you can do carded systems. There's carded systems, but that only handles one part of it. So
yeah.
laundries in the US, I don't know if my numbers are accurate, but I do know from my national sales guy, his name's Kevin. He's been in the industry for 17 years, and
Yeah.
it's something like 20 or 30% of laundries are carded. The rest are coin.
Oh, damn.
But even if you're carded, you still have to have coin.
No, you still have to have the option for the
So someone still has to go
customer.
get that stuff.
Understood. But I mean, for the places that are card, do you have any type of metric as to
Oh yeah.
how much of the revenue comes through a digital payment?
Yeah, and that's actually so we partnered with a company that does exactly that. You can retrofit your washers with a carded system and you can use your phone, you can download the app and pay with your Apple Pay or whatever and start the machine. And it does it in a pretty unique way. It tricks the motherboard inside of these washers to think quarters went by the pulse. So like
That's
if your
awesome.
machine costs $3 to start, it'll pulse 12 times and the machine thinks 12 quarters went in, right?
Oh my gosh, that sounds super analog hack, right?
Yeah, and so there's a couple big players and we partnered with one of the biggest and so on one hand, you get the analytics, the reports, you can see what people use the machines for on the card side, but it also does track the cash side.
Okay.
But there's some caveats to that because
Okay.
you still have to have a system that's up all the time and reporting and I think in the case of some of these carded systems, not all machines report all the time. If they're not being used, they'll go into sleep mode, they won't report, all this kind of stuff. So at the end of the month, you still have to have some kind of metric. And a lot of people do pen and paper. I call it back of the envelope math. A lot of them do it. And I know because at the right around the time I was expanding my laundries, I went to buy a few
Okay.
and I needed to see the financials of the owners, and they would hand me a stack of papers, handwritten in a notepad.
Old school.
Yeah, and I don't mind some forensic accounting, but that's not my profession. And also, I think a lot of people laundromats are treated like piggy banks, which is fine. You pay
Meaning what exactly?
people run cash through them. You pay your taxes, but it's really easy when you're taking a couple $1,000s out of the wall every few days. You pay this bill, you pay this guy to clean your sidewalk, you pay this, and you might not write it down. Then you don't know how much your laundry is really worth.
Yeah, yeah.
So with the system that I was running mine with, everything was annotated, but it's a lot of work. There's no such thing as passive. And I was running one of the largest here, and I was running a very small one. So I was
Okay.
at both ends of the spectrum. And the idea that I could just sit back with my wife and go to Monaco, it's not realistic. And not to mention the dreaded 4 a.m. call that an employee hurt themselves on the machine, or your water got shut off by the city because you forgot to get your annual backfill valve checked, which has happened to us.
Oh, really?
Yeah, one time DWP went out, or Cal Water, and we forgot to get our gray water trap certified. It's an annual thing, or not certified, inspected.
Okay.
Shut off our water 3 days till it turns back on. It was like $4,000 out the window. Actually, three
Interesting.
days it was more like 9,000 out the window.
Damn.
And so that kind of stuff, it's really not passive. So what I was trying to do with, if you were to take how I ran my business before we built the ERP, I could teach someone, but it was about 20 different spreadsheets, all in Excel, a lot of manual stuff going on. So I just crammed it all into an ERP. So that's the other value add, is if you really are looking for something like a truly hands off, if you have a manager and you really don't want to go in, but you want to know everything that's going on, that's really what it is.
Okay.
But then you do get the AI component. So the other question you had was forecasting. You're running your laundry,
Yeah.
and someone says to you, and apparently I was the only guy that asked this, like, what are you using your machine? What's your capacity? And you say, well, my machines can run 10 cycles a day. I don't know. And
Okay.
you say, well, they're only turning 5 times a day. So they're being used half capacity. What can you do the other half?
Yeah.
So because it's LLM, and because they're not just looking at numbers and financials, they're also pulling from a database, a vector that's like global information, expert information. They
Okay.
can say, look, your machines are being utilized 38% of the time. Let's start running this promotion. Let's add this machine. Let's have this bank of dryers over here. Let's lower the price to get more people to wash on this bank over here. Start to put together revenue generating opportunities for you that are a combination of my experience running it,
Yeah.
global experience running laundries in general, and specific to what that facility could and should be doing. So it's all that stuff too. And that's why it's like AI, that answers the question about how can AI, the good AI, where people are like, AI is going to take your jobs. This isn't the AI taking your jobs. This is what the use case was. This was our future land AI.
Yeah. So this is interesting vertical to lend your bandwidth to. Why this vertical of laundromats?
Well, starting in laundromats.
No, I know, but you were part of the motorcycle industry.
Oh, yeah. Uh, well,
Do you enjoy the work, or are you enjoying solving the problem because of the new resource of AI?
so that's
Like,
a good question, because when I was running the laundries, I liked going in and seeing customers. I liked the idea of what we are doing for the community, but my big thing is I really like analysis. I
okay.
really, when I was making motorcycle parts, we designed the motorcycle parts. I was involved in selling them to Ducati and into Triumph and KTM and those guys.
Mhm.
I liked the sale. I liked meeting the customers, but I really liked getting into the manufacturing and trying to find efficiencies, reducing the cost of goods, getting the logistics down, especially on a warehouse level,
Yeah.
how to move around for efficiency. In cosmetics, same thing. I liked building the product. I really liked the branding, but when it came to building the forecasting and the financial modeling, I really got into that. Laundry is no different. Um, Owning a laundromat's very sloppy. It's very hard to do to scale. There is a cap on it unless you have a service like we were using where you have an Uber for laundries where you can pull in geographically
Yeah,
outside.
I've always wondered, like, what do people go and say, hey, we want to increase revenue? Vending machines?
Vending, yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good one.
Yeah.
And that's like low hanging fruit, but could be good money. That's
Yeah.
Bentley money, man. Extra 3 grand a month on vending machines. Go get that Bentley.
Yeah.
Live that dream. But uh, but yeah, I think it's the problem solving of getting product out at scale, but it's really the analysis. And
Okay.
it sounds corny, but what was that movie where it's like just cogs and widgets? You
Oh,
Was
well,
it Back to School or whatever?
back to school. Remember, he's like, what's a widget? And he's like, it's a fictional product.
Yeah,
It
yeah.
doesn't matter. He's like, tell that to the bank.
Yeah, that thing. So I like the problem solving, but the AI makes me excited because, and this is probably really not good to say, I like that if I think about how a system should function, I can get AI to build it the way I'm thinking about it without having to go through the gatekeeping of a programmer and get it exactly how I want it.
Yeah. Well, okay. So that's always been kind of a thing, right? Is uh, creativity and programmers are very creative, and creative people can learn how to code. But when they have to work together, it doesn't always jive. And
Well,
that'll hinder the output, right? So if you have an idea, you it's almost like you're free to be, like, we're all free to be our own. I'm just going to use it as an example, our own Steve Jobs, our own Henry Ford, our own Sarah Blakely, whatever the case may be. We're free to be that visionary now, it feels like, does it not?
well, you can if you I think I have a little bit of an advantage when it comes to using it the way to build because I was building the old way. So that's why I'm saying it's not really vibe coding. It's more like you know how the structure is supposed to work,
Yeah.
but when you instruct AI or a group of AI engines to put together a framework the way you want, it's not that I didn't like working with programmers on that. Really, I don't want to call it low level stuff, but the stuff that like early programmers can do, not high level engineers where you're looking at total architecture. That still requires human, as far as I'm concerned, that still requires human involvement, very much so. To
Okay.
bring something, a full architecture on something like an ERP, you still need experts in coding to make sure that you don't have brittle sections of the system. You have total security. You're not creating, duplicate functions, edge functions that are kind of contradicting, all that stuff. But the stuff that when you know how something is supposed to work, and I was the operator that knew how the flow was supposed to work, how collections would flow into the reports, would flow into the bank deposits, would flow into the annuals. And I knew the actual, like, I know the flow to get that put together the way that I know it has to work without having to teach someone else and then have them figure it out how to program it it's empowering on a level. And then you sit there and look at it and you're saying, well, the utility that I find in I can't even explain to someone unless they're coding with AI. I think AI is an amazing tool, but when I talk to someone who uses it on a very light level, you know, where they're fine, they don't know if it's agentic, they don't care. It's the utility I see in it is just immense. And I think that's why people that know that are saying, hey, the way Anthropic just released this, now you've got all these companies scrambling. If you know what they're talking about, you go, yeah, they should be scrambling.
So, yeah, I mean, without going too far in the weeds on a few things, one of the things that you're talking about, this workflow that you're talking about right now,
Yeah.
the knowledge you have and how you're passing it through to create, this product, right? This software or software as a service or the ERP. It's interesting because, we do a lot of work within these systems. One of the systems we're working with right now is OpenClaw. on the back end of the setup of OpenClaw and kind of the ways and balances, you will, my partner in that, engineer by trade, you know, done very well for himself, sold a couple of his companies all in the tech space, very good engineer. He's handling that back end of OpenClaw for us on our machines. And then I'm the one that does the day-to-day on a lot of the businesses that we're doing. And so I'm teaching it, collaborating with it on the workflows that, like what you talk about. And it feels like that's the new equivalent he's doing as a back-end developer, and I'm a front-end developer.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like all over again, because a lot of the same kind of just interactions we have are very much those conversations. It's just the human value that we bring to it is just evolved, right?
Yeah.
And it's when you really start getting in the weeds on this, it is, I mean, you get dopamine kicks, right?
Yeah.
And it's crazy how much you get because you have an immediate satisfaction for both the failure and the success. Because when you're able to debug something that was built that you yourself couldn't have coded in the amount of time that it's been coded, regardless of its, intensity of it, it's gratifying. And then you can test and iterate in such a fashion that, you just get these. So it's a weird journey of discovery, right?
It's gratifying, but you're also able to, if you use it for a wireframe, an
Okay.
MVP, and you had this idea, because the initial idea was to put it together, bring in some engineers and show them how it's supposed to work.
Mm-hmm.
I can build a wireframe. I can
Mm-hmm.
build an MVP. It might break. And you say, okay, well, it's AI. I know exactly how I need it to work because I'm turning my process into a software. So I know how it's supposed to work. Now I'm just doing it alone. And then you realize you can now you have so much power with AI that you can you can make more than an MVP. You can make something that is full scale
Production
the way
ready.
you want it, and the debugging is the reason you think you needed programmers before was for that debugging, and now you're just doing it on such, because I went through, like, we went through our debugging uh meetings, sessions, and you get to the end of it, and like you said, the satisfaction of knowing that you've just fine-tuned, you've created this system, you fine-tuned this architecture that you couldn't sit down and write. I could look at it. If my guys wrote it 10 years ago, I could look at it and say, okay, I can see what these functions are doing. I can't write it. I can't. And you remember, they were pulling it out of a library.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff. I mean, even GitHub, I mean, that's how it grew because
Yeah, you're pulling chunks of it out of a library, and you'd look at it and say, okay, that looks familiar. I know what we're doing here. But with your human eyeballs in, whatever mapping you're able to do in your brain, and I like to consider myself someone that can see a lot at once in my mind
Mhm.
to connect systems. When you can see a lot as a human, and then you get the power of something like AI that has 1,000 eyeballs at once, it makes you feel completely unstoppable on a level in your product. You look at it and say, okay, did I really just do that? And then every day you wake up, there's another headline about some new feature, some larger context window, some efficiency that came along, some way that AI is more, has more of a historical chat, so you don't have to keep reminding. Because I have prompts, I have,
Oh, I do. I know viscerally now
yeah,
the feeling of memory and committing things to the memory.
yeah, and you have to keep saying the same thing over and over again. And
Well, I mean, depends on your system. You know what I mean? Like
in my
I
program
have
is,
keywords that I talk to the specific machines that I work with, like lock in. I go lock in on the topic and it pulls it from the MD file of a certain memory and it's like
yeah, right out of the repo. I have guys that when we were hiring programmers, they were very open with me. They said, just so you know, we do use AI to help coding. I was like, why wouldn't you?
why wouldn't
Because if
yeah.
you said you weren't, then I would say I'm not interested, because then you're either lying to me or you don't have the right tools. Because my programmers, I had a specialist for most major parts of our first system. It was a shopping platform. It was
Okay.
a wish list platform.
Okay.
Um, and so I had a guy who was versed in RLS policy. you know,
RLS?
yeah, for security. He was doing security side of it so that
Okay.
you could have some kind of database security, not just from external, but also inside the database
Okay.
between, it's just your security layers and things. And that was his thing. That's what he did. But I would watch him, and he was pulling, pulling from the stack. We used OpenStack at the time, and he was good at that. And then we had a guy that did the cron jobs for the URL scraping. So we had URL scraping because we were pulling in data, and this was back when HTML5 was just coming out, whatever.
Oh,
And
I remember web scrapers and doing macros with web scrapers.
yeah,
Oh
and
yeah.
but the two of them talking together, you'd stand there and you'd watch them, and you'd say, okay, well, that's just what we knew. Now you have a guy that comes in, and I do feel kind of, I don't feel bad for people coming out of college because of what's happening, but it is like one of those, you go to college for 4 years for this stuff and you come out when AI hits and you're like, huh? The smart ones are the ones that adapt those tools immediately.
So I've been having more conversations with people who are hiring. They are hiring for jobs. A lot of them have made certain divisions redundant, but they're hiring for new roles. And it's interesting, a common thread I've seen and heard people, and it seems like it's actually true, is you're always, as you get older, once you hit a certain age, you're kind of like, okay, it's going to be harder for me to get a job at the same pay rate, at the same title.
Yeah.
But for younger people, it's always like, well, how do I get experience? Everybody's saying I need more experience, right? And in some industries, they're looking for they're looking for 20 somethings. But what's interesting now that I've heard as a common thread is that people are looking for those who are curious. So regardless of age or gender, can you learn? Are you willing to change what you think you already know
Yeah.
in order to adopt what's new? And how fast can you retain that? So the adoption of new technology is becoming one of the more prevalent things that what seems like, at least a lot of the people I've been talking with, they're looking to hire for. So you could be 50 plus, you could be early 20s. If you are not willing to change what you think you know on a regular, consistent basis with a certain level of cadence, that's where you're going to struggle. You have to be curious, it seems like. Thoughts? I don't know.
Well, yeah, that was one of the first, my mind went right to that when we were looking for the programmers to come in because we had done this so many times. And I
Mhm.
said, the typical platforms, Upwork and
Yeah. Fiverr?
I look through these profiles and it's like, well,
Indeed?
yeah, indeed. There you go.
Okay.
Thank you. You look at these profiles and you say, oh, well, if I'm paying someone $60 or $70 an hour to help with the coding and this is kind of where I see, okay, this AI is detrimental to this level of work because to pay someone $70 an hour to do your basic coding and your framework, if you're building a database, if you're building any kind of, framework like that, you probably don't need that for the most part. And that's just me being PC. But the people that are charging $70 an hour can be doing work up here now by using AI tools.
Yeah.
And those are and I'll pay 70 for that. You have guys now that you can, or people you can hire that are, helping code on a much more complicated, much more sophisticated framework that maybe they didn't go to school for, but they know exactly how to direct these AI engines to really construct solid coding. The smart people are elevating their abilities with AI. They're not going, oh, woe is me, I need to go be a plumber now, right? So, and that's how
That's
I
going to become a really good profession, though.
plumbing.
Yeah.
Oh, I know. What's his name talks about that. That's his big shtick.
Who?
Mike Rowe. He's always
Oh,
he's
okay.
always said that. He's like, and I you
That
could,
sounds like a micro thing to say.
well,
Yeah.
he has a whole program about it, about
Okay.
getting more people in the trades,
Yeah.
electricians, plumbers, contractors. Yeah,
Well, a lot of the businesses that are being purchased are younger people buying those bit like roofers,
yeah.
HVAC. What's her face? The lady Cody Sanchez would always talk about that too.
The coder, the people that went to school for that stuff really do have an advantage. Like I said, my experience, because I was heavily involved on the coding side and because I'm just a creature, I love learning. It's like Every day is something more to learn.
Yeah.
And I've always approached it like that. When I got into tech, I didn't know tech, but when I hired the guys in 2010, I worked with them. I learned what they were doing. I learned how to build databases. I learned how to build, certain frameworks and some of that more, when you're looking at algorithms and that's not your world, your eyes go cross very quickly. But it was exciting. We were in Silicon Valley. So,
If you, oh yeah,
yeah, so we were
you
really
like
getting
it,
in.
you like it.
Yeah, and fortunate for me, I got to where I could actually sit and have conversations with investors. I could talk to partners about coming in and having us build API calls with them. And I knew enough to be able to represent my company on a software side, like knowing my product. Fast forward to now, the advantage I have is I can now talk to those tools on a level of maybe a junior programmer and do senior level stuff.
Well,
For
you're able to articulate the context.
Well, and you can see the problems. And when you ask it,
Yeah.
you can ask it the right things. And when you get the answer, when you get the reply and you look at it, the way that I have it is I'll get my reply, but then I actually get the code. I'll have it show me the code and I'll look at it and say, okay, well, here's where we're drifting. Here's where you're hallucinating. Here's where you're guessing. We have policies for this. You have to go back. We have a code naming schema in the repo. You need to go call that. It's for all the columns. You're making up this shit right
So it's
here.
interesting that you say that because even something as trivial or just as automatic as like file structure of where you save things on a desktop,
Yeah.
you have to, I say teach it before it would be program it. But yes, you're basically talking with, let's say you have your own dedicated machine and it has whichever AI installed on it, but you have to teach it how you want that folder structure to be handled.
I'm not really that familiar with the vibe coding thing. I know that that's a hot topic right now,
Yeah.
but I can understand where if you say, I have an idea for how I want a software to work and I just say it,
Hmm.
AI can go off and make something look
Oh,
like
it'll
it's
do. Yeah.
working.
It wants to please you, it feels like.
It'll look like it's working.
Yeah.
But if you don't know what you're looking at, that's where you can get into trouble because
Well, I mean, you heard Apple is taking down apps or not allowing apps to update
yeah.
that are built in that fashion.
And I kind of agree with that because when you get into a situation where I think it's like any new technology, everybody gets freaked out, right? So you have the industrial revolution, people are losing their jobs, right? You have you have this happening now where everybody's saying, "Oh, we're going to be replaced by robots and AI is taking all of our jobs," and people adapt, but there's still a need to know that the stuff is being built correctly and there are best practices. And it does really take the human interaction. So when you say agentic AI, because one of the big things right now is you're getting into this, what do they call it? AGI, um, or general AI. What are they calling the one? AGI, the one that's everybody's saying is in the next 7 years. The
Oh,
AI that's just doing its
yeah.
thing. You still need, it's called HITL, human in the loop, right? You still need this where you have the human kind of using their reasoning. It's not semantic reasoning. It's not just straight logic. It's human looking at it and saying, okay, that human interaction still needs to help it layer the cake correctly. It still needs to build it correctly. It's like building a house. From the outside, it looks like a house. You go inside, it's missing stairs to the second floor. You're like, oh, well, AI built it. From the outside, it looks like a house.
Yeah, yeah.
There's no plumbing. All the toilets aren't even hooked up, right? That toilet goes to the kitchen sink. So you still need the contractor and the foreman to go in and say, no, 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 no. Right. So the way that I look at AI is, and why, my partner, his name's Jeff, he's been in tech for 22 years.
Mm-hmm.
We have a lot of different kind of unique stories about how this came about. One of them being I was able to build this thing with a small team of people, heavily leveraging AI. Great. That's kind of the Silicon Valley story, right? That makes for good story.
Yeah.
We're making AI enterprise level AI solutions for Main Street businesses. That's a nice elevator
Yeah,
tagline.
yeah.
Main Street businesses, car washes, food trucks, laundromats, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
We're giving you enterprise level software with AI integration. Great. Accessible at your fingertips. You don't need to get SAP, right? And we aren't,
Oh, I remember SAP.
yeah, and we aren't $20,000 for implementation. We're not. But then there's this whole side of it of there's like the good AI and then there's like the negative AI. There's the AI that's going to take your job and then there's the AI that actually helps humanity. The nice thing about our story in this whole thing that we're doing with the AI first is a laundry operator, way back to your question about this idea about it wasn't a question, you stated laundry seemed like a good investment, and they are. If you look at there's a lot of YouTubers that talk about where to park your money.
Mhm.
Something like the success rate's like 90%. It's crazy.
Okay.
Now, I would argue that if you don't know your numbers, I don't think it's 90% because a lot of people get into that and think they're making money. But if they don't use my system, they're probably not making the money they think.
That was a good pitch.
There you go.
That was a good pitch.
Copyright 2026, Ryan Kwan Incorporated. So the thing that Jeff and I talk about often is there's this good AI, and then there's like the negative AI. I don't want to say bad because I don't think AI is bad. There's the negative connotation.
Well, humans can be bad. Humans can be good.
So, right, and to that point, the AI that everybody's fearing that it's going to take your job, it's going to turn on us, the stuff that lawmakers are worried about, that AI, it's like a nasty word. There is that side of it that was the promise of AI. That is saying the guy that, or the gal, now I'm from the South, the guy or the gal that invested into the laundry because they really wanted a nice solid investment. They wanted it to be passive. AI is super useful, both on the agentic side for helping with processes and running automations and taking care of things like collections and running reports, and also on the generative side, helping you understand how to run a business, just giving you the straight answer. If you ask, what do I do with this machine? And it's like, fix this valve, like generative AI. The use case on that side is truly AI that's improving profitability. It's increasing value of a laundromat. It's reducing waste and overhead. It could potentially be reducing utility waste, electric, gas, and water.
Yeah.
And it's improving the service for customers. It's actually helping you put out a better product to the community. So the use case of our AI is like that. You have this idea that you can create a multi-million-dollar company with AI, and you also have bringing real useful AI to people that's not replacing your staff, basically.
Yeah. No, I mean, it makes sense when you say it to me. I'm obviously leaning, you know, on your side of the fence because I like new
You
technology.
see the promise in it.
I do see the promise. I do wish we as people, humans, especially when you brought up lawmakers, we would be as willing to look at redoing our entire
Lawmakers.
taking another look at how things operate today, right? Because in tech, a lot of the advancements have happened as a result of not thinking about how it is built today and working
Yeah.
as a way to inform the future, but it's more like, how do we just wipe the slate clean and do it better? And I'm not saying that tech always gets it right. I'm just using it as a reference point. We haven't had enough moments in my opinion, our society, where we look at the way things are being done and going, this is kind of antiquated the way we're going about this. We should probably look at it with fresher eyes in the way things are actually happening today. You know what I mean? Because just even the advent of the cars has changed the way
Yeah.
we interact with each other as humans. So it's like, I wish we would do more of that. And I think AI is going to kind of force that in a lot of ways, because when you think about things like Social Security, right? And you just think, okay, well, at some point in time, human value is going to have to be reassessed.
Yeah.
And the thing in finance is always follow the money, follow the money. That's where you find your answers, follow the money. Well, the same thing in human value. At a certain point in time, if we don't figure out how to monetize or what is the exchange of value for human value, we're gonna have to re-envision how this shit flies.
Think about, right, and so it's a good point because it was we're around the same age. You got out of school, it's what you knew. You studied, you read your books. Google wasn't a thing in your pocket.
Yeah.
If someone stopped you and asked you a question, it's what you knew. You couldn't say, "Give me a sec," and then get on the phone a friend. That just dated me. You couldn't call 10 people and ask for the answer. Now you just pull out Google and everybody knows the thing, right? So the value was the people that did the work, they studied, they understood, they educated themselves, and they increased their own understanding of the world and the way it works, and that was your value. You hired the expert and you paid him good money her, him, to be the expert because they knew the thing. And to your point, now with LLMs, you have large language models, you have petabytes worth of human knowledge
Mm-hmm.
being distilled down into instantly recallable help where it's like this argument. We heard this maybe 15 years ago with when we said, kids in college are just Googling everything. Where is the value? Do you pay someone because they're really good at Googling something? Do you pay someone because they're really good?
Well, they had a job, remember? For like even right now, people are getting paid to write prompts because people don't know how to write good prompts.
I will give you that.
But
that is good.
it's short. It's the shelf life on it's short,
Oh,
right?
sure.
There's always like these band-aid things. We even had an agency that did Lotus Note technology kind of band-aiding is what we would just call it. There was no other sexy way to say it because there were enterprise companies that still wanted Lotus Notes. But it ended.
Well, the question, the point's good, and I think about it often because it's like, what is my value? I'm 40 in mid 40s, basically I'm not starting over in tech. I'm going back to tech from manufacturing and all this. But you say, what is my value add? Well, it's 20 years of experience of running a business and knowing how I ran a business. It could be argued that's part of the expert vector database. That's like part of my expert contribution to the AI agents that we're building in our system. Fine. But there's thousands of me that were very successful at running laundromats, hair care companies, motorcycle companies, whatever, experience in failures and successes, all that. But what is the real, and I think about it too for myself. It's like, where is the value? Is it that I can pay the monthly fee to have, and these are all so accessible. It's disgusting. I mean, you pay a couple $100 a month for Anthropic and you got that kind of power at your fingertips.
Oh my God. That's the reason why we would pirate Adobe Illustrator when we were younger was because they're trying to charge us like $3,000 for Creative Suite.
On the record. You did the pirating thing where you got
Damn
the
right. I'll put that shit on the record. Fuck Adobe. You know why? I think they allowed it to happen too because they always thought that, okay.
Well, there's cases about that they were okay with that.
Because eventually you'd go and get a job doing this and then you would go to the company and be like, hey, this is what I learned.
This is what I know.
And then they'd have to buy all that software.
Yeah.
But
and then Canva turned that upside down, right?
So now they got Canva's issues. Done a lot. Figma. I mean, yeah.
I think that there's definitely a group. There's definitely like this faction and people playing to their strengths. And it may not be that they're the best coder now that AI is the best coder, but they can definitely adapt. And people, I don't know how old you are, but I found a study recently, and I'm going to just assume that you're close to my age.
That's fantastic.
We're called.
What are you? What do you think I am?
48, 47?
I'm 47. Yeah.
47.
All right.
So I'm 44.
Damn, you're pretty intuitive.
Yeah.
You're beautiful.
Beautiful. So you were born right at the beginning of what this woman and a group of researchers, because I don't consider myself a millennial.
Okay.
And I complain about millennials a lot. And people are like, you're a millennial.
What do you identify with, Adam?
I didn't identify with anything except for cupcakes. But I do say this woman's research is really interesting because she called them Zennials.
Yeah. No, I've seen the video essays on YouTube.
Great.
Yeah.
And you watch and you're like, whoa. You had a foot in both worlds. You had a foot in the analog world and you had a foot in the...
We were old enough to know the rotary dial and how we got to where we're at today. And so we've had to see change.
You're old enough to know how you got there.
Yep.
We are the only ones that when you get to that point, because a perfect example is me, I would say I'm right at that age where someone's like, you need to learn how to use AI. And I'm like, no. But I know my 5-year-old partner would say, no. 5 years, to your point. He'd say, yeah, no, I do it my way. Mm-hmm. A lot of laundry owners, same thing. I have my way. It's back of the envelope math. So I would say that the adaptation to this AI thing is really going to be the value add to being the young person out of college is the adaptability. And it's them saying, well, I've watched, it's all I've ever known. It's AI, it's Google, it's being able to run.
So I've been having this conversation too, recurring, is that, and I see it through my kids, they're so over inundated with technology. They're looking for more tangible things. An example of that, my daughter loves vinyl. My son, who is 17, loves cassettes.
Really?
And I'm
they are having resurgence.
No, but case in point. I mean, I only have heard it through their story and their peers. and I've asked questions to anybody who will answer them whenever I find an appropriate moment to engage. And it's similar, a lot of similar feedback. That thread is that they're just over inundated. They want certain things that we had, and they see certain nostalgia because they've been introduced to us. And I mean, you can't help but, I mean, look at Stranger Things, right? So it does, you kind of, and because we looked at nostalgia. I mean, the movie Midnight in Paris by Woody Allen,
Oh,
right?
I love it.
It always talks about the nostalgia, and it, it goes into a pretentious way of it, and it's funny. It's all those things, but we always seem to have nostalgia, and our generation is no different, and our generation after us and the generation before us, it's like we're doing the same shit each generation over and over, which just has the nuance of a different flavor
Yeah.
or some, you know what I mean? Some version of that flavor.
Yeah, when they go back even further in the 19th century and she says, "Oh, Toulouse-Lautrec, they did it the right
They
way."
did
He's
it the
like, "What
right
are you
way.
talking about?" Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Great movie. I love anything Hemingway. I love. And I
Oh,
love the
okay.
guy that plays his character in that.
He's good, huh?
Oh my
Yeah,
God.
I liked him in it too.
That's how he is in my head, Hemingway. Um yeah, that's a good way to put it. So my boys are 5 and 7, 6 and 7, 6 and 8.
You say 6 and 7, it cracks me up.
Well, he just turned
Yeah.
6 last week, and my 7-year-old turns 8 in another 2 months. But they grew up without any digital, and
Oh, okay.
I don't allow my wife and I don't allow screens. We don't do cartoon. They do some of the old Disney stuff that's been banned. Like they do some of the old, Disney like Pinocchio and Dumbo. I think Dumbo was banned for some reason, but so they watched some.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff there. Yeah, actually, I mean, with the lens of today, yeah, it's a little
Well,
different.
anything from the lens.
Like, I mean, that's why
Seinfeld
Redskins
is it?
got,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, yeah, there's a lot. Yeah.
Think about all the Seinfeld episodes you could not have today.
I mean, that's the argument. Would Entourage be made today? I don't know.
Oh, I never thought of that. Such a good show.
I liked it.
He was so
I grew up in
abusive.
Ari
Ari.
Gold, Jeremy Piven's character.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think he had touched a little bit of himself in there too.
I'm sure.
Sure.
But with my boys, they didn't grow up with screen time, and I just introduced my 6-year-old to Pac-Man, and my 7-year-old I just got him playing Mario. It's an interesting study because uh, I grew up playing Mario, but I wasn't a gamer. I didn't get into video games. I mean, I was around when NES came out. We had an Atari, but I remember very well. You had 3 lives, and when you died, you had the pain of starting over.
Yeah, I remember it because I'd have to go to school and I'd be like, I'm gonna leave this on. I'm gonna turn off the TV so my parents don't know the console's still on.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah. It's
and
good save shit.
and don't wiggle that cartridge either.
Oh, I was remember.
Yeah, it never did anything. It just put spit on it. There's some really good videos about that. But so I've got my 6 or 7-year-old playing it because some studies have come out about this idea about brain development and how games nowadays don't really do that. They just kind of don't end and they help you along. Where Mario didn't give you anything. You realized you had to get through the board and you had a certain amount of time. And
I've heard this.
I've seen it happen in my 7-year-old. I've watched his development with Mario.
So here's an interesting thought. When we were younger and we used to think, oh, I can't wait until games reach a certain point. A lot of the complaints that are happening now are developed by us. I mean, you know what I mean? Like, take a game developer who was playing on NES or Atari. They wanted to develop something like Fortnite. And now that Fortnite's here, there's a lot of, flack that it gets for it, but they developed it. You know what I mean?
I don't know anything about games now. I just know that some of the argument is there's the games don't have that same kind of path. It was two-dimensional. You had a beginning and an end, and you had to keep starting over if you died.
Yeah, I
There's
know.
no hand holding.
I totally get the argument. It's just, I feel like it's very Jim Croce. It's time in a bottle, baby.
Well, so with this Mario, the original, the old school,
Yeah, yeah.
88 or whatever it was, on the new Mario on the new console, you can hold the little buttons and you can keep rewinding. So if you die, you can just keep rewinding. And I
Yeah.
was watching my kid do that, and I was watching him get to a point, and he tried to jump over the little fire breathing plant. And I still remember all the boards because it's baked into my psyche or into my memory growing up. You know how that's weird. 30 years pass and you see it and you're like, I know what's happening next.
Oh, yeah. You get a visceral reaction to it.
And you remember the board and you remember the way the fireball came down. You're like, what? This is probably not a good human thing. But I watched him keep rewinding. So one day I went up to him and I said, hey, I'm going to turn that feature off. You have to actually go through and you have to lose a life. You have to lose a turn and start over. And he was not okay with it for the first few weeks of doing it that way. And he gets, every week I'll give him 3 or 4 days, half an hour to play it. And he started to come up with strategies to get through, and he's finding patterns and he's actually playing it. Like, that was those are the things that we had as kids that helped a lot with development, in at least in my experience. I don't know how the games are now. I know what they look like, but
Well, I mean, it's such a vast thing. I mean, all of the games that we wish we had are now available as one download. Like you can
oh,
access
I know the download thing.
the
Yeah.
you can access the entire library of NES, SNES, TurboGrafx 16, Genesis. But what's interesting is there's two games, same developer, Deltarune and Undertale. And it looks like ColecoVision or Atari,
Yeah.
but it's made for today.
Well, isn't that what
It's crazy.
Roblox is, or whatever one of those is?
Minecraft? Well, Roblox is different
Oh,
because it has
Minecraft
a
is the
heavy
block.
social community. Yeah,
Yeah,
Minecraft.
that's the
It's
blocky
basically
one.
everything's pixelated. Yeah.
Yeah. That's my son's favorite new word is my older son will say to me, "Oh, that's very pixelated." I'm like, "What? You don't know it." He goes, "Look how big the pixels are." I'm like, "All right.
It's a different version.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah. Pump the brakes there, buddy. What's pixel? Everything's pixelated if you want to really get into it. We can go down to quantum
Yeah.
levels if you want."
For this particular interview, we should wrap it up, but I'd like to
Were we
chat
being
with you.
recorded? You have
Yeah,
to
right.
you have to you have to fact check me, because maybe everything I said was bullshit. I might not even have a tech company.
Uh,
I think
well,
I hallucinated
I
most of
know
that on the
you a
drive.
little bit.
I hallucinated
So,
all that on the drive down.
so to kind of close the loop on this, because I know we could talk forever and we're still going to talk even after we're done recording.
Yeah.
So what do you see as being different now, and has your opinion of AI and just technology in general changed since we last had a conversation 2 years ago where you were recorded and you were talking about it? Because we've been on the phone a couple times. You're like, man, I just want to share my point of view now.
Yeah, I was downplaying it. I was absolutely downplaying it. I don't remember everything I said because I have never had that desire to watch myself in a recording
Yeah.
or hear myself.
Well, other people liked watching you, so
Yeah. So I started watching my recording. I was like, oh, turn it off. And I think mostly because I knew that I came into the interview, I knew you had the question, but I didn't have enough. I wasn't really sold on the idea, kind of like Bitcoin, where someone will say, what do you think of Bitcoin? I know what I think as a finance guy, but I don't know enough about it to give any kind of a authoritative opinion.
yeah.
Yeah. Most people think their opinion has weight. I know mine didn't, right?
I I rarely give an opinion these days, especially because of the studio, right? When we run it and we
Yeah.
have producers come in, we always tell them when we're doing walkthrough for the first time, be like, we never give our opinion, any of our text, nobody, unless you ask for it, because honestly, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, and I didn't have enough authority or experience with it to feel like I had an opinion that would matter to anybody, other than if you asked me, what you did as a manufacturer of cosmetics and skincare, the use of AI. But 2 years ago, people that were heavy AI users were probably finding some of those utilities, like I said, where you could streamline processes. But I guess I never really looked at it long enough to say where can it go? Because in my head, everything was a product. It was hands. It was a physical thing. And when people are like, AI is going to kill us, I'm like, how does AI get the gun to do that? Right? But then you see now AI is like holding people with blackmail.
Oh,
These
yeah,
weird.
I've heard some crazy, yeah.
So I get it.
You can Google it and hear some stories.
But I think now I would say that any industry, anybody that's, and I'm strictly business. Like on a personal side, AI has all sorts of uses, and every day people are finding creative ways to use it. It's amazing. But on a business side, any business, anybody that's out to produce something, provide a product or a service for some kind of a revenue, AI is absolutely, it's something that can benefit anybody. It can help improve the product. It can help improve the service. It can help improve user experience. It can help on the back end with efficiencies. And it's not just about cutting staff hours or reducing the amount of staff you need. It's about waste, and
Yeah.
it's about manpower, meaning like human power, woman power, manpower, human power.
We'll go with human power.
It's about the actual time spent on stuff. And if people say, well, AI, AI centers use a lot of energy. It's like, yeah, but the upfront investment is amazing. And if you really think about the whole point of the human species, what we're really doing, even though we're all segregated into our own countries and then into our own states and into our own towns, and everything that we do is tribal people, tribal
Oh, I got you.
beings,
Yeah, I got you.
the general advancement as a whole, the fact that we have cataloged a lot of that and turned it into LLMs to train on, you that is the essence of when they come down to take us, we can band together and fight them. Like that. So AI is I wouldn't even say you should use it. I think it's a must. I think that anybody who's out to make society better, to contribute products, services, thoughts, ideas to better humanity as a whole, if you're not using AI, you're really you're either, like you said, you're either in that faction of generation that doesn't want to change, or you really haven't been exposed to the true utility in AI. When you say, with what I'm doing, I don't need AI for my system to work. It's a really useful feature, but ERPs can work without AI. They just can. It just involves more human input. But you can truly improve your business. You can truly, there's tangible results from utilizing AI, and it's in a business that anybody would say that is so far away from what could use AI. It's cash business. Well, how can AI really help a food truck? I can give you about 10 different ways it can.
Yeah.
So I think my position on AI is it's still something that needs to be, it needs to be taken very seriously. It needs to be, I don't think it needs to be regulated, but I think it needs to be taken very seriously. I think that when someone builds something or a group of people build something with AI, you still need human involvement. Like my example, that building a house, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but I believe that if, humans are in, there's a lot of ingenuity in this space, a lot of excitement around it. It's a buzzword. You have AI, here's my money, right?
Yeah.
But I think that the more people use it, the more people understand it, there's a lot of benefits from that. The one big one is you start to break down the fear. The more you learn about something, the less you're afraid. That's the underlying issue of fear, right? The more you learn about the capabilities of something, the more people with ideas can come in and make it even better. They can enhance it. And to your point, it's evolving every day. And tomorrow, Anthropic or whoever can come out with the next amazing function of it to truly
Yeah.
hit another efficiency. I'm a big proponent of it, and I think it also forces people to really, it forces people to really start engaging with themselves. If you say it can come after me, now you can start investing in yourself. You can start
Yeah.
thinking of ways to make yourself more marketable. You can start thinking of ways where an idea that you may have shelved because you didn't know how to get it out, now you can. You know what I mean?
Yeah. That
It's
I do
it
wholeheartedly. Yeah.
it's on all sorts of levels. Even educating kids. You have AI that can see how a kid learns and can adapt the learning schedule to them.
Oh, that part, I think it has. It's. I'm hopeful that it's going to have its day in the sun because we all learn differently.
It's one of the only ways.
Because I mean, when you think about one teacher in a room full of kids that have all different ways of learning, I mean, I get it, but yeah, that has a soft spot in my heart for a number of reasons. But yeah,
Well, yeah, and to be fair to kids, you have to typically teach at the ones that are, if you're not teaching at the one that's the furthest behind, you have to be somewhere back there to make sure they all come up.
yeah,
But AI, long answer to a short question. Um, especially in cosmetics and skincare efficiencies, it's not about. I think that my job now with what I do, speaking about AI, and I'll be doing a lot of these engagements with not just with laundry owners or small business owners that are cash heavy businesses, teaching them the benefits of just what I make, but just speaking to AI is not the scary thing that's going to take jobs away.
yeah,
I'm on the side of AI is necessary to really be it's not just about competition and being competitive. It's about being efficient. It's about being at the front of your industry. And it does push people to sell more. And I think that if you ask me that question, if you asked me the question you asked me 2 years ago now, and I mean, taking into account all the advancements in 2 years, I think the new me would just say, well, it's necessary to have. It's not just a CRM thing. Um, yeah. So I think too. I've also experienced firsthand that the more I've learned, the less fearful I've gotten of it.
I love that, man.
I've
That's a
yet,
perfect way to
yeah.
like put a bow on that. Yeah, I like that.